I want to help you speak like a pro with some advanced expressions that I think you just need to know. That's my opinion, but I think these are fun, useful phrases that you can use in daily conversation in order to be specific, precise, and just have some more fun with the language. So, if this is your first time joining me, my name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English. It's all about helping you reach your fluency goals. This lesson is all about helping you build and grow and develop your vocabulary. And if that is something that you're interested in doing, please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. If you would also like to get these lesson notes that are next to me, click on the link down below in the description. Join my email community. If you're already a part of it, check your inbox. I have sent them to you. So this is a quiz lesson. It is, after all, interactive English. I want you to participate. Write your answer in the chat, in the comments. I just love it when I see people participating, learning new things. It's just more active learning. So I am giving you, I've taken the expression out. I'm giving you a sentence and the meaning down below. And I just want you to tell me, well, what expression is this referring to? I was exhausted halfway through the run, but I got my near the end. So the meaning of this expression is to experience a sudden surge of new energy or strength. Emphasis on that new energy or strength after being exhausted, tired. This is actually a phrase that I don't know. I think it's incredibly useful because I actually do use this from time to time. If I'm in that situation, you're really tired, you're really exhausted, but maybe there's something else you need to do. You can't go to sleep just yet. And you're hoping to get your what? And generally, we're going to use it with the verb get. You're going to get your, or in this case, you're exhausted halfway through the run, but I got my. So what phrase? I'll tell you right now. It's two words that are missing. You experience this sudden surge of energy or strength. And in that case, no, I don't. And maybe the chat's not catching up. I'm surprised. I feel like this is one that I thought maybe people would definitely be familiar with it. Maybe it's a little behind. But in this case, we're talking about your second wind, to get your second wind. And if you are, I mentioned you're in a situation where you're really tired. And you cannot go to sleep just yet. You're like, hopefully I'll get my second wind. Or maybe you're really tired, but then you're going to go out after work. You're going to go out with friends and have a good time. And like, look, I'm starting to get my second wind. Let's go. Let's do it. I have this sudden burst of energy whenever you get your second wind. It does not always have to be about a physical activity. It could be you're tired from work, you're tired from travel. I think that's another specific time when you could use this. You've been traveling all day, but then you're still going to go out whenever you get to your final destination. You're like, you get your second wind. I think you're excited when you travel, especially if you're on vacation and you arrive. Even if it's late, you might get your second wind and you want to go out and do something and explore. So excellent. Well done, Lolly. I'll try to give some shout outs as we go through this. And hopefully, even if you're tired right now, you're just going to get your second wind and figure out some of these questions, these phrases. This, I thought, was just a fun little visual of this raccoon right here when you're tired, but then you get your second wind. And in this case, I feel like this little guy is up to no good when they're at that sudden burst of energy. What do you think? My team is after taking on 3 projects. Now, there may be more than one expression. The other thing I like about some of these activities is that it's just getting the vocabulary juices flowing. You're thinking about, okay, what phrases, what expressions might work in this context. The meaning is when you are just having too many tasks, responsibilities, or demands to manage them all effectively. So if you have too many things going on, you can't manage them all effectively, it's just too demanding and stressful. You could say that you are what? This one's a little trickier. It's one that, again, I think you will certainly come across it, movies, TV shows, and I think it's worth learning, which is why I said these are advanced phrases you need to know. My team is after taking on 3 projects. So in this situation, when you have too many tasks or responsibilities, there are a couple of different expressions that work, and I will talk about both of them. The one that I was thinking of just in this context is to be stretched thin. So if you tell someone you're stretched thin, it's basically saying you are really stressed out because you have a lot going on and you don't know if you can keep going at this pace. And you might tell somebody, look, right now I'm stretched thin. Perhaps you ask me for help. And I say, look, I'd love to help you, but right now I have a lot going on and I'm just stretched thin and I cannot help you with whatever it is. So this is, you've been overwhelmed. Like, this is just really adding emphasis to saying you're overwhelmed. It's a synonym. So instead of saying I've overwhelmed, you can use this informal phrase instead. The team is stretched thin after taking on 3 new projects. And they got too much going on, they can't handle it, and you could say you're stretched thin. Now, the other phrase, which really has a very similar meaning, there is a slight nuance, would be to say that you are spread thin. And because, again, I'm trying to embrace this new this AI and see how we can use it. And this is an AI overview. If I put in stretch thin versus spread thin. So really both are talking about being overwhelmed. I think that is a great synonym for either one of those phrases. But it says stretch thin is really, talking about that you are at the maximum capacity. You can't do anything else when you are stretched thin. When you use spread thin, I think the emphasis is more on the number of things happening. That you've done this and this, that, and it's like you are spreading yourself thin. So both of them mean overwhelmed, but maybe the emphasis is on one or the other. If you're stretched thin, you're just at the maximum capacity. If you're spread thin, it may imply a bit more that you've taken on too much. In our sentence, you could use either one. Either one of those phrases would work. And if either one of these is new for you, let me know. Hit that like button, hit some hearts that this is new information, new vocabulary, to be stretched thin or to spread yourself thin. Here is another question that I think you could use more than one expression. His question, me, what? And I needed a moment to respond. What expression could you use in this context? There is one of 2, at least that I'm thinking of. Sometimes as you all put your responses in the chat, I realized there are actually more. But the meaning of this expression is to surprise someone by doing or saying something they are not expecting or they're not prepared for. So what expression could you use in this context? You're not prepared for something, you're not expecting it, and you could use this expression. His question, and I needed a moment to think about it. So I like, yes, Marissa, that's a good guess. I would say, you said instead of got me, so one of the expressions was you could take someone by surprise. So instead of got, I would say, you could say his question took me by surprise. That works. It means the same thing. This is not the one that I was thinking of. The one that I was thinking of, yes, Takayo, Joanna, to catch someone off guard. It means the same as to take someone by surprise. You're surprising someone by saying or doing something. You're not prepared for it. You're not expecting it. So that's why those were the 2 that I was thinking of that would work in this context. His question caught me off guard, and I needed a moment to respond. So you could say his question took me by surprise, And in that case, I feel like the emphasis is more on the surprise, like, oh, wow, I was not expecting it. And you need a moment to respond. If you say his question caught me off guard, then I feel like maybe you're leaning more towards the preparation aspect of it, and you needed a moment to respond. So either one of those works. But again, this is when you have these slight nuances with some of these phrases, which do allow you to be very specific. If you want to really emphasize that you were not prepared, that really caught me off guard. Or you're emphasizing you were surprised. That really took me by surprise. To give you some more context, here are some news headlines. This is something I like to share with you from time to time to help you better understand the meaning. It says, don't let retirement plan deadlines catch you off guard. Or 4 driving conditions that catch even experienced drivers off guard. They're not prepared for it. Beware morning tax scams designed to catch you off guard. Finally, then there's T-Mobile may catch you off guard with its next request. I think companies do this. Oh, and definitely airlines. Flying United, the new check-in deadline could catch you off guard. I think that's a great association with this phrase. When airlines, they change rules, they change their prices, and yeah, it certainly catches me off guard, and I am not prepared for it. I am not expecting it. This is a great phrase when it's going to come at the beginning of a statement, and you would say, what is part of the phrase? I think you handled the situation well. So you want to say this statement, look, I think you handled the situation well, but I'm adding this phrase at the beginning. When you're saying it like you're giving someone a piece of advice or information that you're not certain if it's helpful or useful. So if you have something you want to share or say, and you don't know, well, I don't know if this is going to help this person. I don't know if it's meaningful. I don't know if it's relevant. You can use this phrase before stating the advice or the information. This is a phrase that I think you've heard. You might not be able to pick it out right now, but once I tell you and show you the answer, I think you'll be like, okay, yes, I've heard this before. You may not actively use it, but now, hopefully, after this, you can kind of grasp the meaning a little bit better, but it is pretty precise in that context. You don't know if it's helpful, you don't know if it's useful, and you're going to state this phrase before sharing the advice or information. Any guesses? Can anybody tell me? Write your answers in the chat, in the comments. Not say what you will. This is a little, I think this is more specific to the meaning that I'm sharing with you right now. So I'll go ahead and tell you the answer. And again, it's maybe one that you're just not thinking about, even though I'm confident. I'm going to go ahead and say that you've heard this before. Not come what may. The expression is for what it's worth. For what it's worth, and then you say whatever information or advice. But as soon as you say for what it's worth, you're then implying that, look, I don't know if this is helpful. I don't know if it's relevant. I don't know if it's useful, but I'm going to go ahead and say this or share this information with you anyway. If I were to say like, I think you should build your vocabulary, but I don't know if that is useful for you. I say, look, for what it's worth, I think, you should continue to build your vocabulary, watch more of my video lessons, and just keep developing and improving your overall English fluency. So keep in mind, you're going to use this at the beginning of a statement when you're talking to another person. You say, look, for what it's worth, and then you share whatever advice or information that you would like to tell someone. Hopefully, again, let me know if you have heard this expression before. Hit that like button, hit the hearts, hit any of those down below. That tells me that I'm not delusional, and that this actually is a common expression that maybe you've come across in a movie, TV show, and somebody has said before, look, for what it's worth. whenever they're getting ready to share something with you. The next one, it took a few days to get back into the after vacation. I'm giving you part of the expression already. Get back into the what? That is the full expression. You go on vacation and then you come back, you're returning to your activity or your routine, in this case, your job, most likely. And it may take some time. It may take a few days to get back into the what? What is it? Groove. That works. Yeah. You could use groove. You got to get back into the groove. That is okay to get back into the grind. I wouldn't say get back into the grind. I would say you would use grind in that you would say back to the grind instead of back into. And basically in that case, you're also implying that like, yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's frustrating, back to the grind. That's similar in this context. The expression that I'm talking about, you're getting back into, and maybe this is new, I hope so, back into the swing of things. So whenever you haven't done something in some time or you return to doing it, most likely work or something that you do regularly after being away, and you might say, now I'm getting back into the swing of things. Maybe you haven't worked for some time. You were on vacation. Or maybe you haven't been exercising for a while. Now you're trying to get back into the swing of things. So this is another, I think, great phrase to know, especially in this context. You're returning to a routine or activity. All right, excellent. I think you guys are, again, throwing out some good guesses. One thing I want to point out when it comes to this phrase, when you say get back into the swing of things, you're returning to an activity. You could also use this when talking about a new activity, but in that case, you're just going to take back out of it. You're going to get into the swing of things, and you're starting a new activity. Now, most of the time, people are going to use this to talk about an activity you've done before, and you're returning to it, and you're getting back into the swing of things. To show you that, I could go to Ngram Viewer and we could look up, I put in get back into the swing of things versus get into the swing of things. You can see it's more commonly used when somebody's talking about returning to an activity and you're trying to get back into the swing of things. The next one, let's keep moving right along. That kind of policy change is above. This one's a little more difficult. It's again, the meaning, I don't know if that might help when you're talking about something that a person does not have enough knowledge or authority to do. Emphasis on authority. If somebody is asking you a question or they're asking you to make a change or they're asking you to do something and you're like, look, I don't have the authority, it's above. Above is part of this expression. We're talking about a change. In this case, policy. Look, I have no authority to do that. That kind of policy change is above my, I gave you the next word that you would use in this sentence. Not above your payroll, not above and beyond. Yeah, I said excellent. I saw some answers in there. Yes, Joanna, Cindy, excellent. Great to see so many members. Love it. Manuel, Maria, above one's pay grade. So this is a great phrase whenever you want to say that you don't have the power, authority to do something. Look, that's above my pay grade. And you cannot make this change. You cannot do something because you don't have, you could say knowledge, but I think in general, I do think I would say emphasis on authority. You don't have the power to do something, or you don't have the ability when it's something that is above your pay grade. Let's, I don't know why. I thought this was funny. Just this little girl, like kind of shrugging her shoulders, like, look, I don't know. I can't do anything about it. Looks to be above my pay grade. I don't know. I just find it humorous, so that's why sometimes I'll share these ridiculous memes with you. What do you think? She's experiencing about buying the house so quickly. This is referring to a feeling of regret experienced after making a purchase. So we're talking about purchasing something and then you have that regret. Typically one regarded as unnecessary or extravagant. And I think that's pretty, that's pretty key. You purchase something that's unnecessary and then you regret it. You can say that you have, or you're experiencing what? Those are some verbs that you might often use this expression with when talking about this unnecessary purchase, or it was just too expensive and you regret it. And if you regret something, then I think you can kind of piece things together that there is some remorse whenever you regret something. And in this case, we're talking about buyer's remorse. To have buyer's remorse is a common collocation, but you could also experience buyer's remorse. Well done, Joanna, Julia, just give some shout outs. So if you are experiencing buyer's remorse or you're telling someone, then they know, okay, you regret or you're having some regret about purchasing this thing that you may not need or it was just too expensive and now you have a little buyer's remorse. My blood pressure goes when I'm stuck in traffic. I think you've heard of this one too, but there's a specific reason why I wanted to include this, mostly because I have heard people use the wrong word. Then it's part of it, that is part of the expression. You're talking about something that to rise to a very high level, and you want to emphasize just how high this has gone. My blood pressure goes when I'm stuck in traffic. I hate when I'm stuck in traffic. I think this happens to my blood pressure. This happens to my stress level. And I could say, I know it goes ballistic. Yeah, I mean, it would work in this situation, but I don't want to emphasize like going crazy. I'm talking about just the level, like where it's going. You could say off the charts. That would also work in this context. Something goes off the charts. It's at a really high level. There's another, and there's another one. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. We'll get to it at some point. My blood pressure goes, what? Maybe this is more American. I don't know. So you could say something, sky high. That would also work. But the phrase that I was thinking, it goes through the roof. If something goes through the roof, then you're talking about that it just goes to a very high level. My blood pressure goes through the roof. There are some other common collocations with this expression. Your stress level goes through the roof. Your anxiety goes through the roof. Prices may go through the roof. Interest rates, I think, have been going through the roof. Sales, if you're talking about business, may go through the roof. Demand, or even the stock price, goes through the roof. So there are a lot of different ways that you can express this idea. Skyrockets, goes sky high, is off the charts, goes through the roof. But I mentioned before, I've heard people say goes through the ceiling. And I wanted to point out that you're really not going to use ceiling in this context. You're going to say something goes through the roof. How about this? Please let me know if I'm You're doing something that is not allowed or not acceptable. This one, I think, is a little more challenging to guess, even though I think you're familiar with it. And I think this is a statement that somebody would say, like, oh, am I doing something that's not allowed? Is this acceptable? Just let me know if I'm What do you think? In this context, I don't want to do something that's not allowed or unacceptable. So I hope you tell me if I'm, I don't know why I think that if I do this, maybe it's going to help you come up with the answer. I said I think this is one that you've heard of before, but maybe it's a little more difficult to come up with in this context. To overstep one's boundaries. Let me know if I'm overstepping my boundaries. That is a statement that you would use with this expression. If you want to know if you're doing something that is not appropriate, it's not acceptable, it's not allowed. Look, am I overstepping my boundaries? And I think it's often used in that continuous tense, overstepping one's boundaries. So it's a great expression to know in case you're unfamiliar with it. I would not use I wouldn't say crossing with boundaries or anything. I would always use overstepping. The next one, once she explained the situation, I could, she was what? What do you think? To understand the reasoning, feelings, or motivations behind a person's opinions or actions. Once she explained the situation, I could what? Another expression that I think you've heard of, it is quite common, but because I'm taking so much out, it may be a little more challenging. But when you understand the reasoning, feelings, or motivations behind someone's actions or like what they think, then you could say, look, I see where you're coming from, which is, again, a great expression to know, especially as far as communicating with someone else. And you want to say, look, I understand what you're trying to say. I understand why you did that. I see where you're coming from. Once she explained the situation, I could see where she was coming from. I think you've probably have heard this before. You may even actively use it, which is great, but I know that I didn't give you a lot of context there as far as trying to guess it. What do you think? Some people talk just because they love themselves something. This refers to a person excessively fond of talking, dominating conversations, self-focused, trivial monologues with regard to listeners. Maybe you feel like I do this. And yeah, I don't know. I hope I don't come off this way because it has a negative connotation. In part of it, love themselves. It is more negative. You're saying somebody is a little more self-absorbed. They're thinking about themselves. Like it says, you're dominating the conversation. And it is more negative. There are different phrases you could say. One of them, to hear themselves talk. I had to love to hear oneself talk. Some people just talk because they love hearing themselves speak. So the thing that I wanted to point out, you could say somebody loves hearing themselves speak. They love hearing themselves talk. They like the sound of their own voice. And you could use either like or love. So like hearing themselves speak, loves hearing themselves speak, loves the sound of their own voice, likes the sound of their own voice. All of them mean the same way. And I tried to give you as far as like which one's more commonly used. But again, I think this is a useful one because I think we can think of somebody that fits that. I know achieving English fluency is difficult and challenging, but remain persistent, determined, difficult situations. I think you need to what? All right. And this is true. I think a lot of you have certain fluency goals and you need to keep working at it, building vocabulary, improving pronunciation, getting speaking practice, listening, reading, writing, and you want to remain persistent, determined. It's a difficult situation. So I would say, look, just hang in there. I know achieving English fluency is difficult and challenging, but hang in there. You're giving that encouragement to someone else. Hang in there. This is again, I feel like anytime you do a Google search with hang in there and go to images, you find all these cats just hanging on like a rope. So hang in there. Don't forget that you are awesome. And that is true. Don't forget that you're awesome. Here are the expressions from the lesson. I hope that some of it's new. I also hope that some of it's a reminder and it's review, because I think it's always good to get practice. So check out the link if you want to access the lesson notes. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Great to see you, all these members. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you soon